Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Will of the Nerds. My name is Will, and we are back with another podcast. As you can see, the raft playing in the background, and it's those missing episodes. I think it's like the third or fourth episode that I went to record, and the audio didn't work, or I lost the audio somehow, and I'm finally getting it to you. And like I said, it would be for a podcast. So I thought that for this podcast, like the Fallout one, we mostly went over like the perfect Fallout game. This one we would go over like the perfect survival game. So it'd be just going over a bunch of things. So the forest, 7 Days to Die, maybe a bit of the raft, Minecraft, State of Decay. Just kind of taking like the best things from that, like I did with Fallout, and building the perfect game, I guess you could say. So I guess to start, taking like the raft, for instance, since that's what's going on in the background. I don't mind the game, but I don't hate the game. I think the crafting is a little weird, that you have to find plans, but they don't implement it very well. Like, I have no idea how to use the fucking workbench at all to discover plans. And when to get a plan, it's still blacked out on, like, the workbench. So I don't know how they work at all. Granted, it's a neat idea, and I think the best way to do it would be to take a page out of Fallout and discover the plans in the world, like, naturally. In certain places, I think 7 Days to Die does that too, where it's randomly generated and you have a chance to find plans in the world or get them in supply drops. I think that's neat. Yeah, that way, like, you're exploring and you're doing it, and you, like, depending on the difficulty you play on, you have a higher chance of picking them up. And all you got to do is click on it and you learned it, and that's it. Like, there's no other workbench or anything you have to go to. Like, it's a book in the world, or like an actual blueprint in the world, and you look at it, you hit a button, and you learn it, and you know it. You don't need a workbench. So I would get rid of that step for that. But so with that, that's one thing with the raft that I don't really like, that I would just get rid of. It's that extra step. I mean, I like the ocean theme. There's only a couple other games that I can think like that. Subnautica, which I've tried playing, and it's got a bit of a learning curve for me. But I'm more of like the zombie survival games. Those are the ones that I like the most, just because it fits my style, I guess, a bit easier. And I forget what it's, Stranded or something like that. Stranded Deep, I think, is what it's called, is the other like ocean survival game. And I don't know. I like the premise. I get it. Like, you're on a deserted island. Everything's going to be scarce. But that's just not my kind of game. So, like, if I were to make a perfect survival game, I would kind of steer away from that. And it's kind of like the forest. I like things from the forest. I do like that, like, it gives the Minecraft-esque, where you got to chop down trees and, like, you can build stuff down. It's been a while since I played the forest. I know the building in it was a little janky, because it would build like a blueprint, and every time I went to build something, something would get screwed up, and it just became a frustrating process just doing it on creative mode to try to build a house, which is what I do with a lot of survival games. Is if they have a creative mode, is I'll go into creative mode if I'm feeling, like, just building stuff, and I'll just build a house or build a base or something like that, just to explore on the creation side of the survival game, which I really like. I think that's something that should be implemented in it, is the building in it. So, like, just being able to build things, like the creation mode, I guess. So I do like that. There is that in the raft too. I know there's that 7 Days to Die. I think there's that in Subnautica too, which I haven't really looked at, so maybe, like, I should do that to maybe get a better idea of how the mechanics and everything work in it. Um, as for like the survival aspects, it seems like you do die of hunger and thirst really rapidly in the raft. And I understand that certain things you do affect your overall health, which I like that. 7 Days to Die does that too, where if you die or if you don't eat or drink, it caps your health. And I do like that what they did with the raft was if you drink or eat something that's not really healthy, it negates you gaining health. Maybe you'll gain a little bit, or like if you drank purified water and then you drank salt water, it negates all that health that you just got previously. So I do really like that aspect of it. So there is some stuff I do really like about it. It's annoying. I understand it's a part of the game. The fucking shark in this game, Jesus Christ, he's fucking annoying. And it's not on there in creative mode. So in creative mode, it's off. And I understand why it's there in regular survival mode to kind of keep you building, or else you're going to be stuck on like a one platform thing, just fishing and doing everything, and then you're going to have to jump out of the raft to go and get shit to craft. And that's not a good idea. And I probably wouldn't recommend it, because every time I've been off of the raft, I've gotten attacked. All but by like a couple times where I'm just like panic spamming the button to jump out of the water to get back on my raft. And like those are pretty much all I like from the raft. So I mean, if I were to move on, so my mind frame here for doing the perfect game, the perfect survival game, what I would take from the raft is probably really nothing. I don't really like the water idea, the stranded in the ocean idea. I guess I do like the health from the raft to where it caps if you do something wrong, if you eat the wrong thing. And that's about it. Like the learning new plans is a pain for the workbench. And like there's really nothing else I can think that I would take from the raft. Like I don't have a whole lot of experience with the raft either, and then like I have a little less experience with the forest. I do like the scavenging part of the forest. I do like the scariness of the forest, that like you could be going out, and depending on what you do depends on if the AI attacks you or not. I think if you mess with the flora and the fauna in the game, it pisses like those I don't even think they're natives. I think they're people from other plane crashes. And like they'll become more hostile the more you affect the world, and I that's neat. I like that. That's something different. I do like the scavenging part, like having to explore, but that's what a lot of survival games are. They want you to go out and explore and get stuff. How they do it is like there's actual like collectibles in the world that tell a story, an overall story, and yes, there's like an end game thing to the forest, where most survival games don't. I don't know how I feel about that. I haven't beat it. I've watched the end game for the raft from Achievement Hunter, so I know what it is. I know what it's about. I'm not going to spoil it here, but yeah, I don't really like that part of a survival game. I like more open-ended, like there's no end in sight kind of thing. You're just there to survive and make a living. But adding little things to the world on why the world got this way is, I really like that. Like if you have zombies in the world, or if you have like these cannibalistic raving lunatics after you, there's got to be a reason they're there, right? They're just not there for the hell of it, you know. So I would like to see that more collectibles, more lore in it. So with that, then we move on to another game that I've had a decent bit of time in, mostly on the Xbox, not a whole lot on the PC, which is 7 Days to Die, and that might be a game I might play, but I'll go back into that at the end of this podcast. But 7 Days to Die, I like. There's multiple enemies, so there's different kinds of zombies in it. You got to be careful where you go because some of the bases could have mines around them. What is it? Is there screechers in that one? Where if they get notified, there is. I think so. Or they'll screech. Oh no, I'm thinking of State of Decay, aren't I? Anyway, yeah, like if you make a lot of noise, the zombies will come, and every 7th day, it gets more difficult, and there's a huge horde of zombies that come on the 7th day and attack your base. Granted, of course, any survival game, you can turn that on or off, and you could affect what the zombies do if they run, if they're existent at all. But I do really love the feel and the different biomes in 7 Days to Die. So, like, you could have a wasteland, you could have an open field, and it's all surrounded by radiation. So, like, once you go into that radiation zone, you die. And there's actually one time I was playing with my friend, and he was just riding around after we made a go-kart, which, again, the blueprints for this. I'll go into this after this little side story, I guess. So we were getting plans to make go-karts, and I think I made one for myself and one for him, and he was riding around, and he ended up riding into the radiation too far and dying. So I find him on the map, I go riding up, and I go running in to his thing after I put a bedroll down. That way I could spawn, like, right there. So we're spending like 10 minutes going into the radiation and slowly backing his motor, his little moped or whatever it is, out. So I die like 3 times doing this. So going in, getting it, grabbing my stuff, getting on it, coming back, and slowly doing it until like we finally got it out of the radiation. But it basically adds, it's a barrier. It's a neat barrier to a game instead of just mountains or ocean. Where, like some of them, the raft, you can do that, where it's just procedurally generated and you can keep going forever and you only have to spawn a few things here and there. But like a big game that has infrastructure in it, like 7 Days to Die, it's neat to have that. Because, like, you can see stuff in the distance, like buildings, but you can't get to them. If you go to them, you're going to enter the radiation zone, and you're going to die. And there is, I think there's 2 different maps you can get. There's one that has a central city, and one that's just procedurally generated that just kind of creates on the fly. And you can do a map, and the map's pretty fucking big, actually, I mean, the graphics aren't the best, granted, it's a survival game, so, like, you're not going to get the best graphics, and that's not what I'm playing a survival game for. But, like, if you don't get the one that has a centralized city, there's a bunch of small towns you can go in, and if you build your base just right, like, you could have multiple scavenging areas around you to go to, and that's awesome. I do like that. And the same thing, like I said earlier, with the plans, is if you go to a bookstore, you have a better chance of getting it at a bookstore. And it makes sense to go to a bookstore and find plans for something, or a hardware store and get plans for something. Like, to me, that just kind of makes sense. So, like, and you get it in supply drops, which I don't think you don't need to have supply drops. You can turn those off in-game. But you go scavenging, and you'll find blueprints, and once you get the blueprint, it's the same thing. You bring it up in your inventory, you hit it, you learn it, and that's it. You know how to do it. And if you have extra ones, I don't think you can learn a second time. So, like, you can keep them for somebody in your party and give it to them, then they can learn it. Or, like, You can specialize in one thing, I guess. Sorry. So, like, if you're playing and you want to be an armor guy, you can get all the armor plans and learn them and give the other thing to your friend. You know, it adds a little more role play to it. Like, you obviously don't have to. I'd be selfish. I would just learn everything myself. That way I have it. Because you can't expect everyone to be on the same time you are all the time. And what else? I just had it in my mind too, and I forgot. Not the plans. Not the scavenging. Oh, I fucking forget. It's gonna bug me now. I guess I'll ramble till I remember it. I do like some of the defenses you could do. Like, you can build your base up. I do like the scavenging too. It's neat. It's kind of like Minecraft-esque, where you can get a shovel and eat away at the earth and then plant it down somewhere else. The PC could probably handle a lot more than the Xbox, because once you have like so much in an area on the Xbox, it starts to lag. Because I tried building a base and then building like a thing underground to get to the outside of the mountain. That way I have an escape route. I still can't think of what the hell I was going to say. So I guess we'll just move on to the next survival game, which I have a good amount of experience with. Probably a little more than 7 Days to Die. It's Minecraft. To me, Minecraft's basically the same thing as 7 Days to Die, but it's the one most people know. The crafting mode in it, like most things, it's fun, but it doesn't have a lot of things. Like, you kind of got to use your imagination when creating things, where like a lot of other ones have actual real world assets that are either destroyed or something like that to fit the genre, I guess, it's in. If it's apocalyptic, if it's like utopian or whatever, the assets set fit with it. But Minecraft really doesn't have anything. It's just meant to, blocks. There's a lot of kids that play it. I get in the moods where I can play it for like 2-3 months straight, and I'll play on survival mode, and it's pretty fun, like just shoveling, digging, and finding, diamonds, and getting obsidian, and going to the nether, and doing all that stuff. And it's frustrating when you die too, because you have to go back and get all your shit. And like, if you put a bed down, you're going to spawn back at the bed, but you're going to lose where your base is. But I think you can put down a base block, which I think you can do in 7 Days to Die, actually. You can put a base block down, that way you know where your base is no matter where you throw down a bedroll at for your spawn point. But yeah, the food mechanics and stuff like that, they're just kind of basic, unless you're playing in like hardcore mode, which I don't really play in Minecraft. I just like having a casual time playing it and just crafting and survival. Like, there's my survival map now. We have a main base, and I've been going around to the villages in the area, and I've built a cobblestone, or no, it's not a cobblestone, it's a gravel road between all of the villages that eventually connect to my base. And now I'm in the process of building an actual minecart rail between all of them. That way it's quicker to travel to. That way I don't have to build a massive farm on my thing. I can just let the villagers there, if they stay alive, hopefully they stay alive. I can travel there to their garden, ravage their garden, come back, and just, back to my base where it's safe and sound. And I do like that. I do like the idea of having the villagers there to trade with, and like an NPC in the world to keep the world going and feel livable and alive, which a lot of survival games don't really have. It took a while for Fallout 76 to put that in. I know people were complaining and moaning till they put it in. And I guess that brings me back to a little bit of a thought I had for 7 Days to Die is the skill points and the health. So, like I said a little bit when I was talking about the raft, the health in 7 Days to Die works if you die I think it caps 10 off of your main health unless you do something to gain it back. If you eat a lot, or you might have to eat something specific to gain that health back. Or, like, if you don't eat or drink at all, it caps your health even more. So, like, if you die 5 times, your health is basically half of what your starting health was. And to me, it's a pain in the ass, but it's fun. It adds a little bit of difficulty to it. It adds a little bit of perception that you need to make sure you're paying attention to the situations you're in before you just go running in and getting the shit kicked out of you. Then, like, that's it. Like, now your guy has half his health for the rest of the fucking game, and unless you get some kind of health potion or eat something that will up your health cap again, you're pretty much just screwing yourself. And like, the exploration in that game too, I guess back to that, is like, there's all kinds of shit you can find and build in it, and you don't need a workshop. And the skill points, to get skills in it, you have to do it. So while you're chopping down trees or picking at rocks, you're getting skill points in those things and leveling up. So, like, you start out with a shitty pickaxe, and the more you do it, the better you get at it, the better equipment you can make. Which is one thing I don't really care about Minecraft, is it's fairly narrow-minded. It's small. I get, like, a lot of it's pushed towards kids, where, like, it's the rarer the item, the better it is at mining. Like, oh, the diamond pickaxe is the best thing, or whatever, even though it should be the more you do something, the better you get at it, which is why I really like 7 Days to Die in that aspect. The more you do something, the better you get at it. It's like real life. I had no confidence doing this at all, but the more I do it, the little more confidence I get. And you just get better at it the more you do it, and easier it becomes. And the more reliable you are with your tools. That's one thing I really love about 7 Days to Die, is just how the tools work and how the skills work. And I honestly, like, it's really not much else with Minecraft either. I think the biomes are neat, but it's the same thing with 7 Days to Die. The biomes are neat. The creatures are neat. But other than that, like, it's just a fun creation game to me more than anything. And then the last kind of, well, I guess there's 2 more. I guess 7 Days to Die, or not 7 Days to Die, Fallout 76. But before I get to Fallout 76, I won't touch on that a whole lot. Is State of Decay, which I haven't played a whole lot of State of Decay 2. I've only played maybe a couple hours of State of Decay 2. For State of Decay. State of Decay 2, I've played probably more than 20 hours of State of Decay 2. Because when it first came out, I was like, I really don't have any games to play right now. State of Decay is on sale. I was like, I'll pick it up, see what it's like. And it's interesting. I like it. I like that you need to have people with specific skills to be successful at anything. And I like that you can switch between characters. So, like, if you want to, you build a base. You start out with 2 people. One of them's good at one specific thing, and the other one's just kind of an average Joe. And you got to build your base up, and you got to go around and scavenge things and rescue people. And as you rescue these people, they can join your base. But you kind of got to handpick them in specific ways, depending on what you build. Like, if you need to have a hospital, which is probably a very good idea, if you want to have some kind of first aid, you need to make sure you find a survivor that's good at that skill. That way they can build things for you, or make medicines and cure people. Because somebody that's not good at that, and you put them there, then you're going to end up shit creek without a paddle, right? So I do really enjoy that you have to find specific people made for the specific things in your base. because you can't go like all military personnel in your base that are just good with rifles, because then everything else is going to be lacking. Yeah, you kind of learn everything in the military in general, overall basic survival things, but like you need a medic, you need somebody that's maybe a gardener, somebody that's good at carpentry work, somebody that's good with like purifying water and living on the land, maybe somebody that's book smart, somebody that's good at cooking, because all of that wraps together in like the morale system of the game. And if you don't have good morale in the game, people start leaving your base, and that's no bueno. You don't want that. So like I was sitting one time thinking of like the perfect survival game, and we're kind of gonna put it all together here in the end, but taking a little bit of RPG aspects, because they're kind of, you kind of look at it, survival games do have some RPG mechanics where you get skills or you build up skills by doing things, and except there's not really a main story that you become this epic hero or this villain or anything like most RPG games. It's just a survival game, a survival RPG, I guess. I don't know. You can chew me up in the comments down below if there's a certain name for it. But being able to build your own character in it. But we'll come back to this. So kind of like Fallout 76 is what I want to touch on, the last one, where Fallout 76 is like that. It's a survival RPG. Whether you want it to be that or not, that's basically what it is. It's a survival game with RPG skin on it. And like there's a lot of gripes with Fallout. Bethesda did get bought by Microsoft, so if that's new news to you, then hey, you found out here, but it's probably old news by now. But yeah, hopefully with Microsoft buying Bethesda, they can kind of put everything on the right track and hopefully get Fallout 76 going and firing on all cylinders again. That would be nice, because there is a lot of potential in that game. And there is some DLC coming out here soon that looks really good with the Brotherhood of Steel. But anyway, that's for like bullshitting on a Fallout video. So I think I've said this the last podcast. The plans, I like the plans in Fallout 76, but they are a bit much with everything. If it's going to be a survival game, to me, they just need to be in the world naturally. Maybe there's one trader out in the world that's just kind of roaming that you can buy stuff off of, as he basically scavenges the world too, and his inventory like restocks every day or every other day. That may be the only thing I would take from it. It's actually not a bad idea, having a roaming scavenger that's a trader. But I think 7 Days to Die has a trading post that you can go to too. I don't think anybody's really there. I don't think there's really any NPCs in it. Anyway, that's about the only thing I would take from it. The shooting mechanics, obviously, but they're like it's a big AAA title. I use that in air quotes because it is technically a AAA title game by Bethesda, but it's not that good. So, you know. But yeah, like really anything else for survival wise, I kind of like the food and water thing from 7 Days to Die. Now, with all of that, going with the Fallout 76 thing with the RPG, being able to create your own character, but what I would love is taking State of Decay's system, whereas you specify in something that you're good at. So, like me, I like to think that I'm a fairly decent carpenter. I had 4 years of it in high school. I didn't really do anything with it outside of high school, but I have helped family members build like additions and shit like that, and I've built my own furniture. Like if I were to build myself in the game, I could have a carpentry skill, which means I'm not very good at anything else, but I'm good at carpentry, which means I can help build defenses and furniture and stuff to make the base more livable. And I gain XP quicker and easier than somebody that doesn't have the carpentry skill. So I basically specify in carpentry, And my one friend, he's very good with rifles and guns. So he would be basically proficient in firearm skills. And my lady is very good at like sewing, needlework, and gardening. So like you would have to pick one of them to to specialize in. So we'll take like gardening, and you specialize in it. And then you basically take your main character and you go out into the world. And it's basically, we'll say it's like 7 Days to Die. It's a zombie apocalypse. And you're just taking your character, running it around in the world, and you're finding a base. Now this is where I like 7 Days to Die and State of Decay. Where State of Decay, you can go and build up in a certain place, but you need to have a certain place to add on. Like, you need to have the slots to add certain things, which in 7 Days to Die, you can just craft it. But there's not any, like, specific buildings. What I like is building onto either an existing building, like in State of Decay, or starting your own base wherever you want in the map. And then specifying certain areas for certain things, so there's no limit like there is in State of Decay. And so you can either go to a hospital and designate a certain area for sleeping, designate a certain area for sleeping, where like in a pre-made building, the wings are already made up for you. Where if you build your own, you can set down like a building block that designates the area, kind of like what they did with Fallout 4 or the vault skins, that there's specific skins you can select to build certain areas, and the AI will know, depending on that skin and the items you put down in the area, that's what it's going to be. So like you go into the medical skins and you build a medical wing and you throw down like a couple medical beds, hospital beds, then the doctor in the game will automatically know to go there. I mean, granted, you could assign them to it. It might be easier in-game to do that, just to assign them to the area. And they'll just kind of stay in that area. But I think they should be smart enough to go around the base. Like, if they want to eat, they need to go to the mess hall. If they want to sleep, they need to go to the bunks. And another part I really like would be either you building your friends in game. So like you take the thing that they're good at, and there's like a massive list of skills. There's like gardening skills, there's needlework, needlecraft, there's carpentry, there's hunting, there's fishing, there's sneaking, like looting, all kinds of skills that you can specify with characters you create. And you can create up to like 20 of them to put them out in the world. And like your base can maybe have like 30 people in it. And like you can have your 20 characters that you made, and then the rest is just kind of generic people you find in the world. So like you build yourself, you're the main character playing the game, and you build your friends, or your friends, if they have the game, they make their character, and there's like, yeah, you like they come into your game and you play together, and then they leave. They take their progress with them, but they also have their character in game with the same progress. So like if you're playing by yourself and your friend's in it, and your friend's playing by their self and you're in his game, like they stay. Like his character wouldn't move. His character would still be in your game even though he's playing his own game. And you can still go out in the world and find them naturally. Like they're just hanging out somewhere, and you have to find them, maybe do a little quest for them, something easy, either rescue them from a horde, or you need to go get something for them, and they'll be like, yeah, good, I'll go back to your base. And you can do that up to like 20 friends. You can build a profile for them and throw them in, and you can apprentice under them. So if you put them in your party, like you can have, let's say, 2 other people with you go out, Now this is not online. If you're playing online, it's going to be something different. Then you, I don't say you can apprentice if you're online. If you're playing single player, or if you have a, I guess you got to create a party. If you can create a party of up to 4 people, then you can apprentice and gain skills from them. But what I'm thinking is single player, you get 2 people with you in your party, including yourself, or not including yourself. So there's 3 people altogether in a party. You go out and explore, and like you can switch between these players. You can switch between them because it's a single player. It's kind of like State of Decay, so you can switch between them. And you can apprentice, which means while you're with these people and they're using their skills around you, you're gaining a little XP too. Not a lot. You're gaining like maybe a quarter of the XP that they're gaining. But the more you use the same thing, like if you have somebody that's good with weapons, not melee, so like guns, and you have a person in your party that's good with guns and you're using a gun, you're going to gain a little bit of XP. And then I think while you're back in base, you can do a couple missions for this person, which would also fall into the apprentice thing, and gain XP in it. That way, it's that thing I said earlier, the more you do something, the better you get. So in a survival game, the more you would do something, the better you would get at it. But your friends are going to be better at it. Like, nobody's the same. Everyone's going to be a little bit better or a little bit worse at certain things. And if you want to get better, you find somebody that's good at that thing, and you follow them. You learn from them. And that's how I think the game should go, is you follow them and you learn from them. And to me, that adds kind of a little bit more to a survival game. Because you have everyone with certain skills, and you're learning, and you're able to go out and explore more. Then you're able to go out by yourself instead of in a party. That way, if you get killed, then you still have somebody with those skills. Granted, like your main skill, but if you're apprenticing with somebody or you're apprenticing somebody, then if somebody passes away or gets lost in the party, you're not technically losing all of those skills. You still have them. That person's not as good at it, but you still have it. And like you would add the stuff from the forest in it, so like the spookiness in the lore. So if you go out in the world, depending on what the game you make, let's say let's go with the zombie theme still. So how did it come? Was it a virus outbreak? So like it would be neat to go out in the world, kind of like the forest, and you find stuff like books or maybe computer entries that talk about everything. Or maybe you find a newspaper that's like, yeah, the disease hit this time and it started affecting people, and it kind of builds a lore. And maybe there was a couple important people at the time before everything happened, and you just kind of pick up pieces, and it kind of does a creepy thing where, like, I think you could pick up cassettes and stuff in the forest about people from the past or people that have turned into cannibals. So maybe like some of the zombies roaming around like the house, you go in and you find like, oh yeah, that person changed into a zombie. Like it kind of adds a little bit of humanity to the game. Like, yeah, these people were actually once people. They weren't always zombies. And like this thing happened only like let's say 15 years ago, and like most of those people that turned into zombies 15 years ago probably still roaming around, you know. I think that's something neat to add into the game. I do like the scavenging from the forest and 7 Days to Die. So basically, and the forest, 7 Days to Die, and what the hell is State of Decay. So in State of Decay, like if you go out and you're loud, it's going to attract zombies, obviously. So like that should definitely be in the game. And in the forest where you can chop down trees and build stuff, I would kind of just prefer the kind of like the Minecraft-esque version of just putting stuff down. So 7 Days to Die kind of has it too, where it's just blocks. So building walls and stuff, you can either have a blueprint. It would be neat if the blueprint worked naturally. So if you had a blueprint that could sense that there was a hill and you went to build a wall, that it only built like half a wall into the ground, because like I don't want any floating walls, you know. That makes it not as immersive. You don't want that. I don't want that. So like that's where Minecraft and 7 Days to Die are a bit nicer. Where 7 Days to Die you can dig out places and it kind of just will fit a little naturally. It's a little more wonky, but you know, with Minecraft you can just dig out everything and build. I like the same thing at 7 Days to Die, where you can just build out or dig stuff out and build, and it just fits better. The forest really doesn't do that. So like the building mechanics from 7 Days to Die in Minecraft are what I would put in it. The scavenging from State of Decay, where like you have to be quiet and loot, and if you're not quiet and loot, you'll draw zombies. And like the scavenging from the forest, where like there's lore and stuff to everything when you're out scavenging, and like the cutting down trees and gathering berries and hunting and fishing and stuff. I do like that. So I guess, yeah, with the raft, the fishing, that's a nice mechanic to have. And then with the food, basically, you have to eat and you have to drink. Maybe not as often unless you're in hardcore mode, obviously. And I do like in 7 Days to Die that you would have to be careful where you go, or else you're going to end up capping your health. I think that shouldn't happen right away. I think you should get one free one, because sometimes you get into a situation where like you just get fucked. Like you get caught on something and you can't get away, even though you're doing a good job sneaking around. So basically you die once, you come back, you're good. Like you lost your stuff, you got to go get your stuff. But the next time you die, it starts capping 5 off of your health until you find somebody that's a good medic that can heal you back up. And another thing with State of Decay is if you get bitten, you need to get a cure. So that's definitely got to be in the game, especially if it's a zombie apocalypse survival game. If you get bit, you need a way to heal yourself, or you're going to turn. I think that's pretty much about it. So let's try to go over this one more time. So the raft, basically like the fishing, again, it's another skill that you could throw in there. And the crafting from 7 Days to Die and Minecraft, basically almost everything from State of Decay and 7 Days to Die just smashed together, and then add some character creation into it to where you can create yourself and your friends, to where you can specify in specific skills. And basically from Fallout 76, the way plans work, not exactly how plans work, the ability to find plans in the world naturally, kind of like 76 and kind of like 7 Days to Die. And especially skills like 7 Days to Die, where the more you do something, the better you get at it, because that's how it works. It's just natural. It don't seem weird. It's not very game mechanic-y. It just seems something that fits naturally in a world. And I think with all of that, that'll basically end the podcast version of this. So that's the perfect survival game. Basically creating yourself, giving yourself a skill that you know you're good at, making your friends, giving them skills you know they're good at, throwing them in a zombie apocalypse, and then going out into the world, discovering your friends, telling them to come back to your base, and then apprenticing with them. And then as you're out into the world, try not to piss the zombies off to come after you. And be careful, because if you get hit or you die, it's going to cap your health until you can find a medic that can heal you back up. and everything would basically be interchangeable at that point. Like you need somebody to garden, because if you don't have fresh food, then it'll cap your health. If you don't have somebody that can hunt to get fresh meat, you're obviously going to lose health if you can't find it or do it yourself. And like it all goes like in the same way. You need to sleep. If you don't get somebody that knows how to make furniture, like a carpenter or something, or you don't find the plans to make comfortable beds, then like you're going to get fatigue and you're going to lose health because you're not sleeping as much or as well as you should be. But that basically ends all of that. Now to switch gears into 7 Days to Die. So the games I've been playing on the off week, so Thursdays, the Raft and House Flippers. I think I'm only going to have a couple more episodes of the Raft. There really isn't much for me to do in it. If I had a couple of you guys hop on and play with me, I'd be able to stretch it out a bit more. But playing by myself, I basically have everything built. I'm not going to sit there and play it on hours on end just to try to hope to get a plan on the workbench. So I'm going to rotate that out. I'll probably have 2 or 3 more episodes of it to properly give it a send-off instead of just cutting it. And I'm thinking of taking the House Flippers and maybe doing 1 episode of House Flippers a month. Maybe do it like a 40-minute episode once a month to maybe go in with a podcast to fill in like a Saturday. That way, like 2 Saturdays out of the month, you have something. And then taking 7 Days to Die and putting it on Thursday, and then maybe looking at another game I have and putting it there. So I'm basically taking 1 survival game out and putting another survival game in. And then I'm not sure what I want to do with House Flippers. It's I don't know what you call it. I'd say a crafting game, a building game. Maybe I can find something that kind of fits that. I might go with maybe a Total War game, because I've been wanting to play Total War again. I do have City Skylines. Maybe we could do City Skylines. I'm just looking, like I have Steam up, so I'm just kind of looking to try to get an idea. Maybe I'll play a small RPG. I do have Rage, the first Rage, so maybe I could give that a try. Like I have a bunch of Total War games. Let's look. I have Epic Store too. Maybe I can do Tycoon games. I do have Roller Coaster Tycoon. I don't have Zoo Tycoon. What's the other Tycoon game I have? Let me look. It's on Steam. I exited out of Steam because I'm an idiot. Oh, it's not Zoo. Oh, it's just the Roller Coaster Tycoon. They're all just roller coaster games. I do have Jurassic World, Kerbal Space Program. Maybe that's something I could do a couple times a month. But like, maybe I'll just do a Tycoon game that I can just go in. Maybe we'll have an idea. Maybe it'll be a roller coaster game, and like we'll just build a park up. Because there is one map on like Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 that's a free map. Maybe we'll just kind of build that up and build it into a nice park, and doing it on here will maybe slow me down a bit to do it. I think that's all on that part too. I guess in other news, like I said earlier a little bit, if you didn't know, Bethesda got bought out by Microsoft, which I'm, as an Xbox fanboy, I really like. I like that idea. I'm hoping Microsoft can push Bethesda in the right direction to maybe polish their games up a bit more, because maybe Microsoft can give them the money to be like, hey, don't don't fuck it up. Here's more money. Make sure, like, here's the money and the manpower. Make sure it gets done correctly. I personally think a lot of their games are going to end up being Microsoft exclusives only. I think some of the bigger titles will be timed exclusives. Because, I mean, to me, nothing is funnier or more entertaining than basically somebody that owns a PlayStation buying a Bethesda game, and the game starts up and it says produced or published by Microsoft and Xbox, and like, to me, that's just a victory. I mean, for the longest time, there is a lot of Sony exclusives that I like they have better baseball games, they have better like big open world games that are just exclusive. But I mean, you have Bethesda and Obsidian now, so there's a high chance, if Microsoft listens to everything going on the internet right now, fucking Fallout New Vegas 2 exclusive to Xbox only, like how could you not? Like that would be it. How many people would buy an Xbox just for that? And it's kind of mind-blowing that could happen, that's a possibility, that Microsoft could just go to Bethesda and be like, hey, you're busy for like the foreseeable future with Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. You guys are busy and locked up for like the next 6 years. Have a couple of your people go over to Obsidian and get an idea for Fallout, for a new Fallout game. Then pass it over to Obsidian once Avowed comes out. And we can have a Fallout game out by like 5 years from now. How amazing is that? How awesome would that be? That's my favorite Fallout game is New Vegas. I wish there was a sprint button in it, and I've tried playing it, and it's a bit of a pain in the ass because there's no sprint button in it. Sprint button in it. Ugh. I think there's mods for it, and I did see that it's Fallout 4 in Fallout New Vegas mod, which, I mean, I would love it. I think it would be neat. But I don't know if it's going to get shut down or if it already got shut down, because I know the same thing happened with Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 engine and Sky Oblivion, which is what they were doing because Bethesda sent cease and desist orders because they were using assets from Bethesda games. And like, why would you even let the momentum go on that? To me, that's just it's a whole nother thing. But yeah, that's Fallout New Vegas 2, for a lack of a better name, is a possibility now, and like I can't wait. It sounds amazing. I hope it's a thing. I think it's going to be neat with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo coming out for Sony timed exclusives. When they boot that up and it says published by Microsoft, oh my fucking god, that's entertainment right there. I love it. So I guess to round things out, we'll basically just go over everything. Basically, the number one, the perfect survival game. Let me create myself with one thing I'm good at. So specifying one thing. Let me create up to 20 other people in a survival game that are sprinkled out into the world, and I have to go out and find them and recruit them to bring them back to my base. So basically take State of Decay, The Forest, a little bit of Fallout 76, or let's say a little bit of The Forest, a little bit of Fallout 76, mostly 7 Days to Die and State of Decay, a little bit of Minecraft, and a very, 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 very tiny bit of The Raft, and make it a game. That would be awesome. It would be amazing. And with the acquisition of Bethesda by Microsoft, the possibility of so many things, it's amazing. Again, like, that's a whole another podcast going over everything, like the games I love and stuff like that. I'll have to do that for a podcast, maybe that. I do have a couple other podcasts in mind. If there's a certain idea you guys have of maybe a podcast or something you want me to do, maybe there's a game you guys like and you want to see what I think about it, or you guys have an idea for a game and you want to see what my opinions are on it, you can let me know down in the comments below and I can make a podcast about it. And lastly, watch out for the end of the raft, which will probably end in September, probably October is going to be the last time you'll see the raft, which kind of, I mean, it'll end and I'll start 7 Days to Die around Halloween. So, I mean, spooky. There you go. That kind of fits, right? It works. And then House Flippers is probably going to get moved out, and maybe some other simulator game, probably a roller coaster tycoon game or something will take its place. But I'm thinking of doing like one 40-minute episode of House Flippers once a month, because I do enjoy House Flippers. It's a nice relaxing game, but once you get all the skill points and everything, it kind of, defeats the purpose. But I do have a little bit of a goal in mind for House Flippers, and that's to save up money, get a big house, renovate it in the way I want it, and once that's done, then we can move on to something else that I can play like once a month. Maybe by the time that happens, again, I'm jumping on this. You hear it probably almost every episode, at least every episode of Play the Witcher when Cyberpunk comes out. Maybe when I'm done with House Flippers, The Witcher will become that thing that's on once a month for 40 minutes until I'm done with it, and Cyberpunk will take The Witcher spot. But all of that's just kind of speculation up in my head now. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do all that, but I think I will let it there. You guys can let me know what you think, what your perfect survival game is in the comments down below. Is it a zombie game? Is it a raft kind of game, like an ocean Lost at Sea kind of game? Is it Lost in the Woods by crazy cannibal people? What's your ideal perfect survival game? Like, what mechanics do you want? And you can just drop that down below, and while you're down there, you can look at the links for the links to Facebook and Twitter, so you can follow me over on those. If you guys could please like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell icon, that way you get notified whenever I do upload a new video. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next one.